side, hits the pitch to Johnson, he gets outside, he's in! Mario Johnson! 2-point conversion! The Warriors are on! Unbelievable! 22 points! 16 seconds!
Hi, welcome to Coach's Corner, a very special Coach's Corner. Different,
yeah.
Different, but special too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joining us here, over 30-year head coach of the speech and debate team, Marc Rischitelli, and one of his many assistant coaches, Gabriel, Hopkins. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having
Bobby's
us.
been looking forward to this.
For 15 years. Since they pounded me in the original debate.
We should find footage of that.
Yeah, we should find it.
Yeah, we should find it.
It was a beating.
Laugh? It was a beating. They killed you.
Yeah, they did. I don't think
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think we had the debate team on about 15 years ago. We debated them the last few minutes of the show whether debate was a sport or not, and
We lost.
we lost.
They won.
Yeah, yeah, that's all we have to say. I think Mark, you were here for that.
I was here.
Yeah, was it that embarrassing?
No, I was
Took me
glad
a while to get over it. But.
He would be perfect because, like today, you go outside, and you look up and, oh, the sun's out. You know what he'd say? No, there isn't. I see clouds up there. I mean, that's what he does.
Argues everything.
Yeah, because you guys are always wrong.
like most of our debaters.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's your
And
evidence for that, then?
That's why if he wasn't an athlete in high school, that's what he would have done. He would have been
Oh yeah, I
on
would have
the
been
debate
there.
team.
Yeah.
Well, we had the pleasure of being at the school a couple of weeks ago.
Mardi Gras.
Is that what it's was
was
called?
that?
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras,
Oh,
yeah.
It's a Mardi
Where they
Gras
all
themed.
yeah.
They all have a theme.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that was before we start saying about what we
Well, we
thought?
went
what
through
So the
we saw?
Massachusetts Speech and Debate League hosts several, how many tournaments do we have? 7 or 8 local tournaments throughout the season. And we have the largest one of those that is a Mardi Gras themed tournament that we host at Shrewsbury.
So it's always in February, March?
It's always right around, usually the first weekend of March,
Yep.
last weekend of February. So,
And how many schools participated? I thought you told me over 40?
yeah, this year we had 46 schools and just shy of 900 people.
46 statewide.
Statewide, yeah, and
Statewide,
one
not-
from Maine.
Oh, okay. How did they get in there?
This was their first time there.
Yeah.
It's just
It doesn't.
Word of
Is
mouth.
that restricted to just Massachusetts? It could be.
yeah, they can. We can invite anyone we'd like.
Okay.
They don't earn any state final bids for Massachusetts, but anyone can come.
So they use it as like a practice?
Or just another tournament. I'm not sure what the leagues are like in Maine, but they probably have less opportunity than
Yeah.
coming here.
All right, so the tournaments, you had 46 or 7 schools, whatever it was. Do you also have league meets where it's like you versus Wachusett and Algonquin, or?
No, it's all it's
It's all
never
tournaments?
Yeah, it's all tournaments,
state.
and then depending on the category. I mean, we had 21 different categories at our tournament. There could be, there are some categories like public forum debate, for example, where it is, it's 2 kids from one school against 2 kids from another school. So there are head-to-head matchups throughout the day.
And they're able to prepare for that because these two know what their side is, and these two know before the tournament? Or is it something, I think Steven said it was something you got like a half
That
an
was
hour?
his.
His event is a little different. Steve's event, who you'll see in a moment, and
Yeah.
you did see that day, is
Yeah.
extemporaneous speaking. And in extemporaneous speaking, they're constantly keeping up with the news. And
They have to
through
keep up with the
finals, through files that they keep. And their category, they draw 3 questions, usually on current events, and they'll know if it's going to be economic, national, international. And they choose one of those, and then they have 30 minutes to prepare a 7-minute speech, answering the question. It's a key component.
And I can remember Steve telling us, and you can't go over,
Can't go off. 30-second grace period.
and
30
you,
seconds.
and you can't be under either, right?
Plus or minus.
Plus
No,
or minus?
no, you can be under, but in extent they try to pride themselves on being as close to 7 minutes as they can.
Oh, okay, so that's kind of like the ultimate.
Yeah, it's, but
But they go really slow.
Not all of them, and sometimes not Steve either.
No.
But I mean, Gabriel does a lot of work with our public forum debate, which is a little different because the topic changes every month.
Yeah, the National Association releases a resolution every month. Actually,
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months in the fall. And it could be about anything from economic to international relations, fairly similar to...
Coronavirus.
Could be next year. But then the debaters have a good month to prepare both pro and con.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
they have to compare, they have to do both.
Yeah. So, and then in a given tournament, in a given debate within a tournament, they flip for what side they're going to debate.
Oh, oh.
So they have to be
So they
prepared for
don't,
both
yeah, so
sides.
they don't even know, once they walk in the door, whether that's gonna happen or not.
Right, exactly.
How many, we didn't even ask this, the last time.
What's up?
How many kids are on the debate team
On our
in the
team,
high school?
our
Yeah.
roster right now has 88 kids.
That's like a football team.
So
Yeah, really.
And how
And
about,
that's just the high school.
that's just the high school. And we have unfortunately we have tryouts and cuts.
You do.
oh, you have cuts.
And you cut down to 88?
How
Yeah,
many
my
do you,
coaches don't like that.
how many do you think you had try out? How many do you think you had to cut? How many?
This year, maybe.
I think we took about a third.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So like 30?
yeah, but we're losing. It
30
depends on how many
kids.
how many seniors we lose.
40.
I think this year we have 20, close to 20 seniors. I think so. We'll have more space next year, and you lose some through attrition. That
Now, did you say you took a third of the kids that tried out?
yes.
Oh, you took
Oh.
a third. You
Yeah.
didn't cut a
So-
third.
So there was 300 kids that tried
No,
out?
no, no,
No,
no, no,
'cause
no.
it-
They don't try out every year. Once you're on,
Oh, once you're on the team, you're there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right, and now, this I didn't know, they have to pay an activity fee to be in the club, and everybody pays this activity fee.
Correct. Well, anyone who wants to participate in any activity at the high
Yeah,
school pays
right.
an activity fee.
Right.
That covers as many activities as you want, or at least right now, it covers as many activities as you want
For the whole year?
for the whole year.
Oh.
So when they come in and, because debate is not a season, it's the whole year, right? Or
Correct.
speech and debate, I'm sorry, I don't want
That's
to
all right.
offend anybody. But speech and debate
You already
is.
have, by the way.
I know, I'm sure I have. But it's
I've
a,
watched.
but it's a whole year thing, it's not like football where it goes from September to
We have
November.
the longest season. We're
Yeah.
September
Yeah.
through June.
Can I back up 1 second? I have a question. When you had tryouts, do they present to the coaches and you pick?
They used to, and it was a long night.
Oh, yeah.
We now have video submission,
Oh, okay.
and we lose a little bit of that
Yeah, right.
with that, but we're also able to go back.
And look
And
and
look
do it
and-
over a
and-
longer period of time.
And
obviously.
we've sort of argued with each other about
Yeah,
who we
yeah.
like
Not
and
to
who we
take-
don't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
does it-
helps in more than it hurts, but you do lose that connection.
Right.
Does it also help that he's in the middle school? Do you ever go see the kids in the middle
He
school?
works with the kids in the middle.
Yeah,
school.
some of them.
Yeah.
I don't work there every Monday. The coach Vivian Powers is there every Monday.
Okay.
So she's able to give some input as well.
Oh, okay.
Most of the most of the people that coach the middle school kids are our high school students
Yeah.
that actually go
Oh.
there on a Monday
Oh,
afternoon.
nice.
Oh.
So over the years, we will have upperclassmen who tell us, well, these are the ones to
Look,
Watch.
look
watch,
for.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So all 88, are they from the high school or are they from middle school as well?
88
No,
or high
that-
school.
88
they're
are all high school.
Okay, now how many kids from the middle school are in debate, in speech and debate?
I think this year it's
A lot.
80,
80?
around 80. That's rough.
And
that's a
when
rough
they
number.
start, you said it's sixth grade? A few.
Yeah, so in
Not-
sixth
not
grade
too
it's
many.
just a smaller.
So primarily seventh and eighth, you have about 80.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's a great feeder program.
Yeah, that's
It is,
amazing.
it is.
That is
Unfortunately, being in the middle school program does not guarantee you get onto the high school team,
Yeah,
which is
Well, it's like, now, and the only thing I can relate it to, because I was never on a speech or debate team, was it's like football.
the same thing.
I mean, John
Right.
doesn't like to cut anybody, but, I mean, if you got that many kids, you gotta cut
Do
somebody.
you are you flexible in terms of number of kids you have? In other words, if you're losing 28 seniors, Are you just gonna fill 28 spots, or could
No,
you do
that's
25,
That's
30?
how we've sort of incrementally crept
Increased.
up to 88 because
Yeah, you keep wanting to
I keep
extend it
adding a
just
little bit more, and they say don't do that. But
Yeah,
So-
I mean, the resources are limited, and it is, in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, unfair. I mean, you can ask the kids, sometimes there are practices where we don't have enough coaches there to work
help
with
them.
everyone.
Yeah.
And they're very much, self-driven as well, and
Yeah.
peer coaching is a big part of our team.
Like in this last tournament, 88 did not compete.
No, close though.
Oh, really?
I think we were missing a handful, but we probably had
So-
By
70
by your
something.
choice or by their choice?
Yeah, it's different things. Yeah, they couldn't. They
They
couldn't make
make
it.
it.
Yeah, they couldn't make
Okay,
it.
so if they were there, they would have competed.
We don't. Yeah, we didn't have any reason they couldn't go. There are some tournaments where you're limited in entries, but they're very few.
Well,
This-
unlike other sports, I mean, not everybody on the team ever competes all the
Right,
time.
right,
right,
They
88
go a whole
get to
football
compete.
season without competing.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
right,
sure.
right, yeah.
So that's pretty
right.
good.
And-
At least you're getting your money.
And I don't know if you've seen the show, but those are the kids that I love. I don't know how they do it, because they're out there killing each other for 5 days, and then the 6th day, they stand on the sidelines. Those kids are special. I mean, these kids, as you said, they're all driven, and those kids are too, but I'm amazed at how many similarities there are with a sport like
Yeah,
football.
no, you're right.
It's amazing.
I mean, when I first started coaching, I was doing it with my wife. It was my wife and I that did it, and then we had kids, and that was the end
Yeah,
of that.
that's the end.
But we had a drive for a long time to just make this a team, and it was a team mentality internally, and then we also wanted externally that people to see us as a team and a competitive team as well.
Which it is now, absolutely, from what, and we'll talk about this, but from what we saw,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what we saw was amazing. It was amazing.
It's very. I mean, it is impressive, and we say all the time it's not a spectator sport. It's we don't
No,
don't
no,
have
that's-
people
No, it
come in
isn't.
from the outside. But when
Yeah, you
people
don't
come
charge
in,
admission,
they're very impressed when they do come. Though.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, how good is this for kids when they're applying for college?
Oh,
I know you're a
I'm
coach, and
biased.
you went,
Yeah.
and I know, I understand all that, but
I mean, I can't tell you the number of kids, I mean, alumni over the years, not even just from Shrewsbury, but from other programs across the country, that constantly say this was the best thing they ever did in high school. That if they couldn't do anything else, it had to be this, or they would not be successful in whatever their career is. I mean, we do a lot of events where it's acting based or debate based, so people think, well, they're going to be actors or lawyers, but they can be anything in between. And this activity will make them be amongst the best of whatever they choose to do, and hopefully love to do.
I tend to agree with you.
I
I
agree
mean,
with that, too.
some of the reason why we have continued this show for 21 years is because what we always feel is it's not about the three stooges or four stooges, it's about the kids.
Oh, definitely.
It's about getting them to get on the show and publicly speak and not sit there, I mean, but you don't even know. We've had freshmen well, you do know, but we've had freshmen on this show that did that. Nope. And when they're seniors and they come back on the show and you
Can't
go,
keep them
Hey,
quiet.
you can't, yeah.
and they sound like coaches and they're telling you stuff and you go, what did he just say? So
They
I'm
mature
sure-
quickly in 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
we-
amazing.
I mean, you touched on the fact that I'm a graduate of Shrewsbury High School, but
1987.
and I was on the team, and Kitty Viscardi was my coach. I don't know if and she had a saying that she would, at the end of every tournament, she would get on the bus, and she was like 4'9", and she'd say, "You were all a winner the moment you stepped on the bus." And although I am very competitive by nature, and I'm proud of the team that we've built on a national level, it still comes down to that as far as every kid on the team. And there will be kids that go through 4 years and perhaps have one winning moment. But they have won just as much as anybody else who has a shelf full of trophies.
Let me ask you, how many kids on the team when you were there?
When I was there, it was probably about 20,
Yeah.
maybe.
And no fees.
No,
No fees back then. You know, just.
You know,
And
what's-
we,
you know what I'm thrilled about is the fact that the kids go back to the middle school and they get to
Yeah.
coach them.
yeah, that's a great,
I think that's so great.
yeah,
And it really draws the kid to the high school later on.
Yep.
And, you know, we don't lose any boys to the red school, hopefully, and they're not competing. So, I think that's fabulous. I love seeing these kids go back and teach.
teached.
Coach. Coach them.
And not only that, we have, half of our assistant coach staff are
Yeah.
alumnus of the team.
Yeah.
Gabriel's wife was a member of the team, and that's how he came along. That's how he got imported.
Yep.
yeah, I obviously knew that. I wasn't gonna ask them, but, I think they go Mondays, you said, to the middle school?
Yeah.
Monday afternoon.
How many of them go?
Depending
enough.
Not enough.
it just depends on their own commitments. But
Yeah.
this year, especially, there's been quite a lot. It's been between 5 and 10.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
it is great.
Now, do any of the kids, and again, this is me just asking random questions.
That's what you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Do any of the kids that are on your team, is it a year commitment?
Oh, yeah.
But what if they want to play softball?
They can. We asked this to be.
Good
this-
question. You like that question,
did.
didn't
We
you?
asked them for this to be a major commitment in their life. We understand that choices have to be made.
Okay.
But especially with the fact that we have to cut people that want to be here,
Oh,
we
yeah.
ask that we
That
do
would
ask
be
them
fair.
to be
That would be
to
fair.
make it a major commitment.
So you do have athletes that
We
do
do.
the debate and play a sport?
And it's
Yeah.
and it's tough and
Yeah, it must be tough.
and they might. They might not do as well in one or the other,
Right.
trying to juggle it. But for
Right.
the most part, the kids that want to do both will find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Isn't it all about time management? And that's as teachers and coaches, isn't that what you're trying to?
Try to help
Try-
them
yeah.
facilitate that as much
Right,
as we can.
Right, exactly, because that's what you gotta do all year.
Get in their own way sometimes.
That's
but-
right.
I gotta ask you a question, and I think I asked Peter last time. Are there scouts, college scouts that come and watch?
Not as much locally, but they
Definitely on the national
they
circuit.
exist.
Yeah.
They
So you go to
do?
nationals, there's people that can have them.
Oh.
National invitational tournaments that we attend. There'll be people from other university programs that
Yeah.
will maybe come up and talk to people. You can talk to the two students here. I'm not sure if they've ever been approached by anyone, but
Right, right.
So there is speech and debate in college?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know, but
Oh, yeah.
how would I know that? I know. Were you on the team at Worcester State?
You just went there to be a sports star?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think we
but
have
I mean,
one
is it a
of those.
competitive thing too? It is very,
It is, depending on the school. Some of them are very,
Yeah.
very.
oh, so there's certain schools that are
Yeah.
the Alabamas
yeah, my-
of,
Or the
My
John
oldest
Hopkins
son-
of
Yeah.
lacrosse,
Yeah, my oldest son's about to graduate from Bentley, and he went through, he was on
Yeah.
the team here, and he's the president of the Bentley Debate Society or whatever it is. But they don't do a lot.
Yeah.
It's they'll do a few things a year.
yeah.
But if you went to
UMass.
Brandeis. Or
Brandeis?
University of Texas and Austin is
Oh.
huge.
Oh.
George Mason University, we go to a tournament down there. They have a large team as well.
I cannot not see Harvard versus Yale in something like this.
Yeah, really.
They
Definitely.
must- yeah, they
We
Ivy
go to a
League.
tournament at Harvard and at Yale
Ivy
every
League.
year
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
How about the judging? It's really, really kind of subjective, right? I mean, it's what impresses that particular person. I mean, because we sat in there,
training, like the-
with the training
yeah,
session
yeah.
for the new people, something that we're never gonna do.
No,
That we're
no.
never gonna do.
Too close to
You
referees.
can't give them all first place.
We were like started
Yeah,
shaking
like
sweat
him,
a
like
little
him, yeah,
bit.
he gives them a 10 every time.
Yeah.
But it
Bias.
really is subjective, right?
Ultimately, it does come down to a lot of subjectivity. There are objective criteria that exist in each category, but you're right. I mean, it's the overall impression ultimately, to a judge.
I'm sorry, just
No,
let me
no,
get,
no, go
while
ahead,
I'm thinking
go
of it. Stephen did a thing on Bernie Sanders.
Did he do his impression?
No.
No.
We'll have him do it on here. But anyways.
He was
but-
right
but-
on, though, too.
Yeah, he was right on. But if you're sitting in a room and that judge is a MAGA Trump guy, and he's trying to convince me that Bernie's gonna be the next president, doesn't that hurt him, or could it hurt him? But no,
Yeah,
let
but
him
they
answer.
said you gotta leave the biases at the door.
He was listening at the meeting.
Yeah.
I
said
heard it
that.
too, but I'm asking you guys,
So-
sometimes it's hard, right?
So, as somebody that's judged a lot of debates, there's often times when you really want somebody to say something and they would win the debate, but because as the judge that this would win the debate, but if they don't say it, then they haven't won the debate, and you leave your biases behind as much as you possibly can. And we instruct that at judges' meetings,
Right.
No, we heard
on the
that.
ballots.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be some bias that slips through, but for the most
Right.
part, it balances it out because you're
You're right,
also
because
more critical of
many
someone you
rounds.
agree with.
Absolutely right. If he was in there judging and the kid was trying to say Trump was the greatest thing since, whatever, that kid's lost. He's lost already because
He's one, yeah.
he's kind of way over here. So, but no, seriously, that's got to be tough. It's got to be tough for the kids too.
It's hard for the judges to get used to, and sometimes people will judge once and they realize
And
that it's
they
too hard
can't
for
do
them
it.
to do it.
Yeah.
But they're self-aware like that, so that's good too. They pull themselves, out of it for the future.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
But
And remember, Stephen, when he did give us that speech on,
extemp speech,
Bernie.
on Bernie.
on Bernie, he was right on.
Yeah, he
must
was.
have been pro-Bernie then.
Oh, no, he was right
against
on.
him. He
Oh,
was
well,
against
there
him.
you go.
Now, was
See?
Bernie electable or not?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
and
was
he
his-
did. He hit it right on.
He was
did
right
hit it
on.
right on the head.
Now, the judging, objectivity or subjectivity is one thing. You said there are, like, technical things they get judged on too? There's like
And rules, I mean,
enunciation or speech, or can they wander around?
most of it's very specific things. Like in a reading event, they're supposed to be making eye contact with their
Yeah, so
script.
they can't do
Even though
this.
it's really memorized,
Yeah.
they're supposed to have the illusion of reading. They're also not
Well, I
allowed to
think
walk
Sophia
around.
did that.
Right, and they're also
She had,
not
like,
allowed
but
to
you
walk.
weren't really reading,
you know,
she was just flipping.
in
Yeah.
Sophia's prose that you
Yeah.
saw, she couldn't run around the room.
She
And
couldn't.
She's not supposed to be
Can
really
she move
acting it out.
Like, if they say, okay, you can move 2 feet, or can you move, are there specific
There are
rules like that?
specific rules.
But they're
They've
not-
become a little less specific,
Yeah.
so,
As long
or
as they
people
don't,
push
like,
the boundaries a little
Go
bit.
wandering around the,
It's interpretation versus acting, I guess,
Yeah.
in the reading event in
Yeah.
that regard.
Yeah.
And I remember Stephen when he did his speech, right at the beginning, and I asked him that you guys weren't there, so you don't know, but really early on, he stumbled just a little bit, and I remember asking, I think Peter, right? I think I asked Peter, does that take away? But again, it's subjective, right?
It is, and then sometimes if someone gives the great speech, you overlook that.
yeah,
Right.
that's what Peter
And
said.
and
That's
you can
exactly what
overlook
Peter
that and
said.
give that person, say, well, this was a great speech. He stumbled a little bit. The second place kid didn't stumble at all, but it wasn't as good of a
Right,
speech. You're not
right,
going to just
right.
Or
say,
he didn't
"Oh,
know the material as well, or what?
yeah, lots of different reasons. And in the hierarchy of that in a judge's mind changes, different judges
Yeah,
might
right,
change.
right,
So
right.
the subjectivity overall comes in there as well.
Now, when you go to a place like Nationals,
Mm-hmm.
Sophia was saying, and let's hope they happen with what's going on in the world
Right.
today. But when you go to Nationals, do you see the same judges typically?
Well, nationals, we travel to 4 other national invitationals throughout the year. We go to Yale, we go to Harvard, mostly local. We go down to Philadelphia and Virginia. And you might see some some people that you've known, but there's so many people at the national tournament, it's unlikely to see a judge that you know, but it's possible.
I guess what I was asking is, do they have a core group of judges that they use at all the nationals?
No. No.
Oh, they don't?
Most judges are parents. I mean, some of them have been doing it for the entire kid's career. But,
Right.
But most judges are parents or alumni or other coaches. So it really, the ones that go to nationals, they could be first-year parents, but a lot of times they're alumni and people that have been around doing the activity for a while.
I gotcha. So I'm sure everybody at home is wondering what happened. We got 1 minute till we take a break. You were running to help somebody who had a little sickness.
Medical issue, yeah.
Medical issue,
emergency,
and you popped your Achilles.
Yes.
Did you have surgery?
No, it's not that bad. 2 weeks, I go back and we'll see what the doctor says.
See?
Debate injuries, though.
that?
Debate injuries.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get
but
hurt.
the
I said he
coach.
couldn't get hurt, yeah.
But it's the coach. It's not the kids.
It's a fake injury,
Yeah.
and I'll debate that.
There was no blood. There was no
I'll
blood.
tell you, it's not fake.
I did that too. When
Did Walter have to come and tape you up? That's
Walter
all I
did
want to
not,
know.
no.
He didn't. So
Walter's
doesn't
too
count,
busy.
then, right?
Walter's an athletic trainer.
Okay.
No.
Our
Remember,
kids are athletes, though.
See,
That's
see,
right.
Here we go.
Professor Tucker Montague
Professor.
said that this is a sport.
It is. It is.
So-
When you go head to head.
Head to
Although
head.
Bobby always says if there's no blood and,
Yeah, there's
and
no physical
no physical
contact, yeah.
contact, no pulls or strains
Yeah.
or breaks, it's not.
No, you get
And
it.
after
Yeah.
15
there you
years,
go.
he's still wrong. So,
True.
All right, we're going to take a short break and bring 2 of the kids on that we saw prior to their competition,
Yes.
and you're going to be impressed with them both.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right, joining us here for the second half of the show, these are the real stars. Sophia Peng, the president, and I'll ask you about that. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Oh,
did
good.
say it right.
I did, finally, all right. And Steve Asthana,
Yep.
who is the treasurer.
Was it a stunner?
Asthana. No, that's what you thought it was.
Oh.
You thought it was Asthana. And first of all, before we start, I want to thank you both for what you gave to us. 3 people that you had never ever met before or seen or probably didn't even know we did this kind of stuff, because both of your performances were outstanding. And we still want to talk to the judge that placed you in 3rd instead of first place. We want him bad.
We want address and telephone number. Like
We'll take
before you leave the
care
show.
of whoever. It wasn't your mother or anything, right?
We'll allow that.
Thank you so much.
But I do want the people. We'll start with you because you were the first one that came in. I do want the people to see a little bit of what you shared with us, which I'm emotional anyways. I cry at Verizon commercials and stuff like that. But this guy has no emotion, and
You had me.
and you had
Yeah,
him.
you had me.
I mean, you had
That's
both
the
of
best
us,
feeling,
and
yeah.
it is, and I suppose that's what you want. But we're going to take a short time here. Marc's going to put up what you shared with us.
My mother told me that once you hold your own baby in your arms for the first time, you will finally understand the true meaning of love. She was right. I mean, you can't have a baby in the house and not be awestruck. I mean, have you ever looked into the eyes of a 1-year-old? I mean, really, really looked? They are full of wonder and amazement, exploring, searching, questioning. And then it dawns on you. They're seeing the world for the first time. Every so often, you've got to see the world from the eyes of a child. I mean, get down on their level and see what it's all about. I used to follow her around the house on my hands and knees, see things from her perspective. And oh boy, does it suck being little. I mean, a countertop is a huge obstacle for a 2-year-old. Washing your hands, getting to the faucet, reaching your glass of milk. Not easy. You come to realize that the things you take for granted in life are completely new for your child. I remember a few years back, I was racing through town to get to my sister's house. We were late for a birthday party and it had been raining all morning. And then I hear this tiny voice in the back seat go, "Look, Mommy, a rainbow." I glanced out the passenger side door and, yup, there it was. Uh-huh, that's nice, honey. "I've never seen a rainbow before." Reality check. 4 years old and she'd never seen a rainbow. I mean, they're neat and all, but they're just rainbows, right? Well, not if it's the first time you've ever seen one. They're in all the storybooks, all the TV shows, but it never occurred to me that she'd never seen one before. I pulled over into the nearest parking lot and we piled out of the car. We must have stood there for 15, maybe 20 minutes, just staring at that rainbow, talking about it, taking it all in. I can still remember her smile. There's no way you can look into that beautiful little face, into those deep little eyes, and not know that there is a God. Because only God could create something that precious, that innocent. Her 5th year, far and away the funnest. I love 5-year-olds. They still respect you as a mother, look up to you as a parent, and treat you as an infallible leader. 5 years old. Kindergarten, lost her first tooth, started gymnastics, fed the goldfish on her own, and learned how to wipe her own butt. It was a great year. It was around that time that Sarah came up to me one day and presented me with this. "Look, Mommy, it's a round to it. Now whenever you say, 'need to get around to it,' you'll already have one." She cut it out of one of those National Geographic for Kids magazines. The edges were perfectly round. And I remember thinking, now when did you get so good with a pair of scissors? And then I got the phone call that she was dead. Just like that. You didn't see that one coming, did you? Well, imagine my surprise. In the movies, there's always this sinister music that leads up to some traumatic event, like a premonition of impending doom. Well, it's not like that. There was no warning, just a phone call. She'd been rock hopping along the riverbank. She had 2 of her friends with her. She slipped. And the river pours into the ocean about 1.5 miles downstream. We never found her. Gone. Totally and utterly gone. I've been busy packing her lunch and putting it into her Winnie the Pooh lunchbox. The next second, I have no daughter. And I can't even say goodbye because we can't find a body to have the funeral. It's a little bit harder to believe in God now. suppose my reaction to losing Sarah was similar to that of any adult who'd ever lost a child. I was numb for weeks. My life was devoted to her. Everything I did was for her. What was I supposed to do now? I lost 35 pounds. I stayed home for 2 months and was hospitalized 3 times for depression. No one knew what to do with me. The truth is, I just wanted to be left alone. Just leave me alone. Finally, my boss, Kelly, came by my place one day. She went through all the standard lines. Our hearts are breaking for you. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. If there's anything I can do to help, I hate that one. And then she said, you know, there's always going to be a place for you at the store, right? You can come back to work whenever you get around to it. I went to work the next day.
Wow. It's killing me.
That's why I hate pros and dramatic performance.
Really?
I cry at Kodak commercials.
That was excellent, yeah, really.
Fantastic.
Wow, that was so excellent.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And cool thing, just a couple things to point out that one, Sophia cut that piece in her head, standing here from 10 minutes to 5 to give you a beginning, a middle, and an end. So that's pretty cool to do that standing up
Yeah,
like
oh,
that.
yeah.
So it's a lot of poise. Second, that you also want to note that she was flipping through her notebook. Typically,
Yes.
that's a mechanical thing, and you look at that, and you go, okay, because they're supposed to be reading, but they're not ever really reading, because everyone's not really reading. It's all memorized. So, but she looked like she was reading, and she actually looked down a couple of times, and there may have been a reference there, but she really wasn't looking at the page. And I've taken kids' notebooks, and there wasn't anything in it. So, that's just a subtle thing that you're looking at because it's part of the piece.
Okay, so that was fantastic.
Thank you.
How do you do it? I mean, I know it's a thing of repetition and that you memorize it, but you still have to put all the emotion into it. And how do you not get upset? I mean, that story, I'm telling you started 10 seconds and I was like, what's she gonna do? She's gonna say something bad's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. And then it did happen. And I mean, the tears were rolling down my face. Astonishing.
I mean, I think it starts, of course, with a good understanding of what you are trying to convey. I feel like, at least the way I like to think it, like speech is like 90% what you think and 10% what you're actually doing. So a lot of it is like if you're standing in front of the mirror and you're practicing like lines, you want to find things to think about that make you feel the way that the character's supposed to feel, because like my piece is about motherhood, but I've very clearly not experienced that yet. So
That's another thing that amazed me. That amazed me. You're 18, I assume. Almost. All right. So you're almost 18. You've never been a mother.
No.
I don't think, anyways. And what you conveyed to us was nothing short of amazing, as far as I'm concerned.
Believable.
Yes.
Believable,
Very,
yes.
very
Yeah.
That's always the goal.
I felt the pain that she was trying to convey.
I felt the emotion immediately.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
When you started out as a 1-year-old and looking at the face, it was like just
it was unbelievable. And I'm just so happy that you shared that. See, when we did the show with speech and debate the last time, we didn't do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically walked in there going, oh, what the hell are they going to tell? No, we don't know what they do.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, that's basically what we did. But this time, we knew. We saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. Give us the name of the judge.
I don't know.
Look into the light. Tell us the name.
But yeah, I think a lot of it, I mean, that's kind of the goal, especially with acting type categories, is to train your ability to act. And I'm sure like any student who does theater or who does any sort of drama knows what techniques I've been drawing on to be able to find emotional outlets. And I think speech and debate is interesting because it's not theater. You have to be able to command a room just by yourself. And I think that's where the difference lies. But especially in categories like prose, I think what you're training most of all is being able to, you know, emotionally connect with an audience, just as if you were doing like a drama.
Well, you did it.
Sophia, how did you pick, like, not the story or whatever, how did you determine that you wanted to do prose? Like, there's, how many categories, Mark, did you say there were?
7?
Well,
No,
there's
more than that.
17 regular ones.
So how did you
Yeah.
say, okay, I want to do prose and I want to do, you know?
I think it starts with just kind of interest. You know, I started speech and debate. I was lucky enough to be part of the middle school team, and prose was one of the categories. They were like, oh, this is a good place to start. So I had exposure to it in middle school, and I knew I wanted to keep doing it in high school. But a lot of the times it's like what you're more comfortable doing. If you're someone who likes acting, prose is something that's good for you. I also like to say if you're someone who doesn't like to memorize things, you have a binder for prose, so that also helps.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but you didn't look at that binder once. You made
did.
believe, well,
Yeah,
she
you
made
made
believe
us
she
believe
did. but she
Technically,
didn't.
I am supposed to be. And people do read off of their binders, as
Right.
they are supposed to be doing.
Ah.
So, yeah, you don't have to have a prose memorized. There are other acting categories where you are required to memorize. So I think those are the two requirements that people like, you know, like grasp onto most is like, oh, I'll do prose because I want to do an acting piece and I want to not have to memorize.
Right, so now you started in middle school, so you were you've been doing this 6 years, say, about 7, 6?
Yeah, 7 years.
How many different categories have you actually competed in?
Oh gosh,
A lot.
a lot.
So you've
She's done
gone
debate.
from,
I
you've
did
done
do debate.
prose, did you ever do
I've
radio?
I did radio.
You did, so you've done a lot?
I've done basically every acting category except for POI.
Which is, what's Puyo?
Programmed oral interpretation. It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
similar to prose, except you're not only reading like literature. You can do poems, you can do plays, you can do articles. It's
Yeah.
it's a
You
lot.
splice it all
Yeah,
into
you
one.
put it
Yeah,
all into
right.
one thing. And then I haven't done original oratory, and I haven't done like extemporaneous speaking, and that might be it.
Do you decide like each year what you want to do, or do you change during the year, or do you just,
You can do.
what do you do? What did you do? Did you like pick, say, I'm gonna do these 4 this year, or did you say, okay, I'm doing this for this one, and I'm gonna do 4 different things for that?
I think, especially freshman and sophomore year, you just want to try everything.
Yep.
So I made sure that I did something different like those years, and if there was something I just haven't tried yet, I was just like, oh, I was going to try it.
Yep.
So then you find something that you
yes,
love.
you find something you're good at, something that you really enjoy, and then you keep doing it. So I've been doing prose junior and senior year because I did like the memorized acting categories in previous years, and I didn't enjoy
Right.
those as much. And then also sometimes it's based on what piece you find. So finding pieces takes a long time. I've
Yeah, we had
probably
talked about
searched
that a
Yeah,
little
we
bit
did
that
talk
day.
about
like you're scoring the internet, scoring
Yeah.
like library
Yeah.
databases for like
Yeah.
I would say like on average like 20 hours for a piece.
Wow.
And then so then if you find something that would work really well for, you know, a certain category, you would put yourself in that category
Right,
regardless
right.
of whether you've tried it or not, or if you're very comfortable.
Thanks.
Awesome. And now, Steve, what you did, and I wasn't trying to be critical when I asked about the stumbling, I just didn't know.
Right.
And I want you to know that. It was only a little stumble, but I did pick up on it, and it was like, I wonder if they get deducted for that. But you do something very, very different than what she did.
Yep.
And so you get a category
Half
a
hour.
half an hour
Yeah.
before you start.
Yeah.
And you have to formulate everything in your mind that you want to say and the order in which you want to say it. And you got 30 minutes to do that and to create a 7-minute speech. Before you talk about it, let's let Mark put up what you did for us, which was pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
And you know, hindsight's 20/20, but what he said was almost perfect to what actually happened.
Really?
So we're going to take a short minute, and Mark's going to show that piece.
In the most recent Democratic debate, Bernie Sanders, the senator from Vermont, bragged about being insulted by the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, which is really weird, because nowhere else would you brag about being insulted. As the Washington Post went on to explain in their article from 5 days ago, the senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, is becoming the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination in the 2020 presidential election. However, as the article went on to expand, now that the Democrats are looking to one word in particular, electability, they aren't so sure that Bernie Sanders fits the bill. Because now that Americans and Democrats across the country are becoming more and more worried whether or not Bernie Sanders is electable, or appeals to a broad American populace, and is capable of defeating President Trump, more and more Democrats are becoming worried and are asking themselves today's question: how electable is Bernie Sanders? The answer is unfortunately for him, not at all, which can be seen through 3 specific reasons. First, since he pushes rural voters away from his campaign. Second, in how he loses the swing vote. And finally, how he pushes voters towards President Trump. Now, I was going to make a lot of political jokes in my transitions, but the issue with that is that they tend to get elected. The first reason why Bernie Sanders is not very electable is because he pushes rural voters away from him. In fact, CNN explained in their article from 5 days ago that Bernie Sanders' his main campaign policies affect the economy a lot. The article went on to expand that not only is his Medicare for All policy his main healthcare policy, but it also is going to drive up the economy's costs in terms of federal spending and spending through Americans themselves. And the article also went on to explain that he wants to raise the federal minimum wage and also wants to make state tuition for state colleges free. The Washington Post explained the problem with this in their article from just last night. They explained the obvious, that it's going to cost a lot. The article went on to expand that not only is the federal government going to need to spend a lot more, but they're also going to need to have the American populace spend more. What this means is raising taxes, and Republicans out in the middle of the country do not like to hear that. As explained by the Brookings Institute, an international think tank, in their research from October of 2019, many of these rural voters, or voters with lower socioeconomic statuses, oftentimes prefer the direct impact on them on the short term. The issue with that is the short-term direct impact on them, if Bernie Sanders becomes president, is that taxes are going to be raised for them. Rather than looking on the long-term profits, they're looking on the short-term and seeing that they're going to be paying more in the near future. No one likes to hear that they're going to be losing more money, especially these rural voters. And that Brookings Institute concludes in their article that because of this, Bernie Sanders is going to lose these rural voters in his campaign because his chief economic policies are only going to push them away from him.
All right, so I gave him enough time. Now, how did you get into doing something like this? Do you like the challenge of not necessarily knowing what you're going to do?
So I also started out on the middle school team, and there was an event called impromptu speaking, it's actually very different. But the idea of speaking on the fly was something that's in both events. So in impromptu, you get 7 minutes, but you get 7 minutes to both prepare and speak.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So in that case, once I started picking up the rhythm on how to speak on the fly more, I was getting more used to it. So I thought this would be a better event to transition into. And considering I was interested in current events and talking about the news and stuff like that, I felt like it was a perfect pick. So when I stuck through it through the 4 years, because I've been doing this since freshman year, so I was able to develop that as time went along.
So I mean, you really have to read newspapers every day and watch CNN and Fox and MSNBC. You have to watch everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So newspapers are going extinct.
No,
so
they are,
in the community. So we find as many sources as we can, and that's also something that judges will look for in your speeches at higher levels. Did you have a variety of sources? Because if you're just citing the same source over and over again, I don't know if you actually know the material or you're arguing just from what one article says. So yeah, you really have to read everything you can.
So you spoke about Bernie Sanders. So if you just went by what CNN says, that could be a deduction at a higher level? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the judges want to see you have a variety of sources throughout the speech. Not necessarily because of the viewpoint, but also because it shows them that you're citing different articles saying things that support your
You
argument.
did more research too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because if you can just make an argument based off one article you read, and it's not as impressive if multiple articles you've read support the argument that you're making.
I got you. Coach, I mean, fantastic. I could talk to them the whole time.
No. Please.
I mean,
They're two of the best.
I was gonna say, both of you, and all the other assistants that couldn't make it here tonight, it must warm your heart to see, you know, especially, now you've been there for 30 years, so they were babies when they came in. You know, they were, I'm sure they were much different looking and.
And they're gonna think they're babies when they come back 5 years from now. They're gonna be like, look at
Exactly.
pictures.
Look at all those babies that are there now. They're seniors?
But they're two of them, you know,
Right.
very accomplished members of this team in years. I think we came into the season, Sophia was 9th place last year at Nationals in informative speaking, and
That's pretty impressive.
they both have been at invitationals where they've placed in the top 3 or so. Steve at Nationals last year was 3rd in extent. And
Now,
just
by
invited
nationals, this isn't like, they're gonna get mad at me, but this isn't like cheerleading nationals where they go to North Carolina and they compete against 30 teams and it's not really nationals. You're talking the whole country.
Right. We belong to 2 major leagues. There's about 3 national tournaments that we sometimes compete in, 3. But there's 2 national tournaments a year that we consistently have gone to. And one of them has about 500 schools at it, and the other has about 1,000 schools at
That's
it.
unbelievable.
So,
And she finished 9th and he finished 3rd.
yeah, 9th in the one with 1,000 schools and 3rd with the one with 500.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I gotta ask you, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, you're the president.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Do you have an election or?
We do have an election.
you
It takes
campaign?
place
I would have
end
voted
of
for you.
May.
You would have 2 votes.
Kind of. I mean, it's
think
just
the
like
fix was in.
spreading word of mouth around the team. I've had my eyes set on this since freshman year, so it was
Goal-driven,
really an honor to be able to get it this year. And then every position is elected, of course.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you, I kinda know what his is, but what does the president do? Is it like the captain?
Captain, is it, yeah, kind
But
of?
we have 2 captains.
Oh,
we
we
have,
do?
We have a
Yes.
speech captain and a debate captain in addition to the president.
Oh, so who's the higher rank? You, right?
Yeah,
President's
well,
much higher than captain.
We call ourselves like a cabinet, and we like discuss
Oh,
everything
okay.
together.
Do you
So I
have
don't try to.
president, vice president,
President,
secretary?
and then 2 captains.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
One for.
Did you notice what you did there, though?
Yes.
President and 2 captains?
President and 2 captains.
Listen to high five.
It was good.
No,
It
you
was
could
good.
go president, captain. It just doesn't work.
No, they're equally. They do just as much as I do.
understand.
So.
I'm just
She
teasing you,
lives with the
Sophia.
speech-
Yeah,
the speech
my twin
captains
sister
are
is
twin
the speech
sisters.
captain, so I couldn't say anything bad.
Oh, then I would have definitely went president.
Speech captain.
Debate captain, yeah, that's fine.
So
Oh,
do
if he's
you
watching
have
this.
any input? Do you have any input in, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to ask you.
Administration.
Yeah,
Administratively?
I do.
Coaching.
Okay.
I think like coaching is technically more of the captain's responsibility, but I really think president is just what you make of it. I like to think it's like the face of the team kind of thing, where it's like your energy is what the team's energy is going to feed off of. So like even if it's a bad day, your job is, like, or a bad tournament, your job is to make sure that people are still staying positive and you check in with everyone. And then also just dealing with like bingo and
Me.
contacting, people if they haven't signed up for things yet, taking care of a lot of the administrative
Also
work.
the emotional part of it too, like people down being, is that
Oh,
what you're-
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to make sure I bring first aid to every tournament just in case people need it, things like that.
That's good. And
Yeah.
Steve, you're the treasurer, so that's an elected position too.
Yeah, that is.
What do you treasury?
So we collect registration fees for every tournament. It's just collecting
Oh,
money
no,
for
wait a
every
minute,
tournament.
wait a minute, time out. Wait, I didn't hear that before. You pay $100 activity fee. correct?
Yep.
And then you go to a tournament like we had,
Yeah.
and you have to pay again?
Yep.
$6 per.
Yeah, that's what we.
So yeah, that's it's $6.
So if you compete in 6 things, you gotta pay $36 for the tournament.
Luckily, no one competes in 6.
No,
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah. you
Again,
do
my,
have to pay
my
per entry.
ignorance is coming through.
No, but you're right. Yeah,
We have
I'm
a
Pay
trying-
that, or does the team pay that?
No, each person pays that.
So you,
Oh, so they pay it to you and you have to pay the host school?
Correct.
or do they
Yeah.
just pay it directly?
No, we pay us. They pay me, and then I give the money
To
to
the-
Mark, and then
Oh
Mark
my
pays the school
God.
for registration.
Right,
Right.
gotcha.
No
For
offense,
other-
no offense, Sophia, but
Oh, his job.
that
is-
job stinks.
He has to. Okay, he has to walk down the aisle of a moving bus at like 6:30 a.m. So I
Oh,
would
yeah,
definitely
that's
say
not
he
good.
has the
That's
best
not
job.
Oh,
And then chase
God.
up people who haven't paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then have the right change, and oh my God, Steve. oh
The
my
change is
God.
the worst part. I
We haven't had a treasurer yet. that
Hey,
knows
are
how
you
to put
sure it's
money in
not,
those,
is
though.
you sure it's not, are you sure it's not treasurer, president, captain?
The hierarchy starts here and goes like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
No, that, yeah, oh,
Yeah, it's tough.
oh, God, that's awful. I run a golf trip every year for 16 guys, and I go nuts with that. I can't imagine having 88 people. You
We
gotta
do it
be
on
kidding.
purpose with you,
Yeah,
though.
I know. I know.
I think they're slightly underselling themselves here, though. Speaking from a coach's perspective, we really, really rely on the officers. They run the team, really. We take a lot care of a lot of administration, but especially I coach the public forum debate, and I rely heavily on the debate captain. Even though I may have just said he wasn't doing much, he's phenomenal. And I know the same goes for all the other officers. So they really are the.
And they know
ones.
that because they always feel like the team's going to fall apart when they graduate.
Yeah, right.
But there are people below them that will fill those spots,
Yeah.
and will rely on the new people
Yeah,
just as
right.
much as we rely on.
Now, when do you have the election? Do you have it the end of this year or the beginning of next year?
The end of this, it'll be probably in April sometime.
Okay, so they get to vote too?
They do.
Yeah, that's cool.
They get to help count the votes
I
as
like
seniors.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
They always look forward to that.
That's good. That's, it's just, what you guys did for us, it touched both of us.
Yeah,
and,
it really did.
And because we don't even have a basic understanding, because he played sports, I played sports, we had nothing to do with debate and,
No.
stuff like that, so it was really, really impressive and eye-opening to us. I don't like the fact that, so, like, when you go to nationals, you were saying, Coach, Chicago and Albuquerque, was it Albuquerque?
Albuquerque this year, yeah.
You have to pay your own way,
Most of it, or a
Yeah.
portion of it.
so you have to pay for the flights and your entry fees too? You have entry
Yes.
fees for those too?
Yes.
Yep. Now, fundraising wise, I know you said the sandwiches and stuff at the.
Yeah, the tournaments we host, yeah.
What else do you guys do for fundraising?
Little things here and
We have
there.
a bingo fundraiser that we do at Spirit of Shrewsbury. Shout out to anyone who may be interested in coming to that.
1 minute.
1 minute, oh God.
And then sometimes we've done other things, like we've done showcases where we'd sell food and people could come and,
Send money, they need money too,
Yeah.
send money in.
Yeah.
This is the SPAC
Yeah,
here, the speech
yeah,
and debate.
Yeah, exactly.
team at
We only have a minute. Where are you going to school? I always ask this at the end of the coach's call.
I don't
You
know
don't know
yet.
yet.
I don't know yet.
All right,
Results
give
are
us,
coming out
give
in
us
the
your
next couple
top
of
5 that
days.
you're already in.
I don't have 5, I'm already in.
All right, the top 3,
Oh gosh, I genuinely don't think I could say right now.
you don't know.
No, I do not.
Okay,
It's
Steve.
been a complicated
That's fine,
process.
that's fine, Steve.
I don't know either.
All right, so what do you want to do? I'll ask you that. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm looking to do computer science with economics.
Okay,
So, yeah.
well, of course.
I'm looking to study healthcare, public health, and
Oh, yeah, you told me
anthropology.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Good, we gotta
we're
go?
out of time, yep,
Yeah.
we're out of time.
Good luck in the future, and thank you
you
both
for having us.
No, thank you for
Thank you.
enlightening us,
Steve,
and
thank you very
and
much,
coaches, you
Sophia.
should be
Thank
Very
you.
proud
nice meeting you too.
how composed they are, and I was so impressed. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
You absolutely do. You absolutely do. And good luck with the rest of the year, and good luck senioritis. I know it's tough. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time on Coach's Corner.